Welcome, folks. Welcome, folks. Come on in. You're in the right spot. Thank you for joining today. So in today's lesson, we're going to talk about the importance of breathing and just some of the basic science of the breath and what's happening in the body. So first of all, a great book on this is James Nestor's book, Breath. This is a fantastic book that breaks down the science of breathing and also gives some techniques on how to breathe and maximize our breath and lung capacity. And one of the big takeaways from this book is to breathe in and out of the nose. This is the best organ to use for breathing in our default way of breath. So if we ever catch ourselves breathing in and out of the mouth or taking these shallow breaths, just let that be a signal to breathe in and out through the nose and to start to pull that breath into the body, into the lower part of the lungs. Now, the lower part of the lungs is where oxygen exchange is most efficient. So we're going to really use the best capacity of our lungs when we're taking that breath into the belly. Some of you might have heard me say, breathe into the belly, and you can start to feel the belly. The belly can rise and, the air's not going into the belly. Obviously, it's staying into the lungs. But when we take the breath, we're actually moving our organs around and we have an opportunity to actually lengthen our spine and to realign our spine with each breath. I really believe that the breath is the most consistent thing we can do for our overall health and vitality. So just knowing and learning how to breathe correctly is very important in the long run. So first of all, breathing in and out of the nose. This is an absolute must. And you may have seen some people, they'll even take a piece of tape, just a thin piece of tape, put it over their mouth when they go to sleep so that it forces them to breathe in and out of the nose. This is a great idea because you're training yourself to take that breath into the belly and breathing in and out through the nose. So first of all, that's number one. Use the nose and have a nice balanced breath. The yogis call it the complete breath. And this is where we breathe into the lower part of the lungs. We fill up to a comfortable level and we exhale. Now, this isn't to say that we have to take a full, big, huge breath every time. We don't need to do that. Every once in a while, the body's just going to naturally want to do that. But if we're taking the breath into the lower part of the lungs or into the belly, have a nice smooth exhale, that becomes our default way of breathing. So all these practices and exercises are in a way helping train us to just breathe in that way naturally. So we don't even have to think about it. You'll notice if you do this practice enough, you'll notice, wow, you're just breathing in and out of the belly. And this is so important too, because when we take an inhale, our heart rate actually increases very slightly. It increases. When the heart rate increases, we become a bit more alert. And on the exhale, the heart rate decreases, and that sends the signal of calm and relaxation. So between each breath and each heartbeat, we can actually be kind of stressing ourselves out a little bit more and relaxing ourselves. Now, this is very subtle, but this is where it starts on the foundational level. So taking smooth, equal, complete, full breaths is so important for our overall health and well-being. And you'll notice if you're breathing up into the chest and you're not breathing down low and smooth, the chest starts to get tight. These muscles start to clench up. Tension and anxiety starts to build, and the body starts to feel it, and then the mind starts to get effective. And now this becomes our way of breathing, and it's just the cycle that we're in. So we got to break that cycle, and we got to do these practices to train ourselves to breathe into the belly. Now, a few other things that are happening when we're taking full, complete breaths, okay, is that we're purifying the blood. Now, this is not talked about a lot, but I came across this in a book called The Science of Breath by Yogi Ramasharaka. And this guy, I'll tell you, he breaks things down in a magnificent way. And I found this to be extremely interesting on how the breath purifies our blood. So just real quick, stay with me here. the breath and the blood, how this works together. So the blood moves throughout the entire body. Now, when it moves throughout the body, it starts to pick up impurities. It starts to pick up cellular waste and the things. It's kind of cleaning up the body as it's moving through. Then that blood comes back into the heart. The heart then pushes the blood into the lungs, which gets spread throughout the entire lungs. So now we've got the blood in the lungs, and the breath is what purifies the lungs. So when we take a full, complete inhale, we're breathing into the lungs, and then the contact of oxygen and blood, what happens is there's an actual form of combustion, and carbonic acid is released as the waste material. And then once that's released, the oxygen is in. Now the oxygen, or the blood rather, is filled with the life-giving properties. Then that gets pumped back into the heart and then throughout the entire body. It picks up the waste material, comes back into the heart, gets moved into the lungs. We take the breath, the oxygen purifies the blood, goes back into the heart, and moves throughout the body. So being able to take these full, complete breaths is giving our blood and our lungs a way to just purify the body in a very, very important way. And if we're breathing up into the chest, not taking the full breaths, we're not purifying our blood as well as we should be. So you can start to understand, okay, if the blood isn't getting purified completely and then getting circulated throughout the body, it's just over time, it's going to get worn down and with the waste material. So this is a key thing to understand, and please look this stuff up. It's so interesting how the body works and how actual combustion happens within our lungs to purify the blood. So this is one thing I found to be very interesting and also very motivating for me to be conscious and aware of my breath and to catch myself when I'm not breathing into the lower part of the lungs. Okay, so just be aware of this, that when we are taking those full, complete breaths, we're actually purifying our blood, and that is really helping us live a more vital life. Now, few other things that are happening. There's so much going on in the body with the breath, and I certainly don't understand everything, but these are just a few key points that I thought to be extremely interesting. Moving on to some of the more esoteric ways of thinking about breath. And this is where I really love the yogis, and I go deep into yoga philosophy. But the yogis really believe that there's more to the air than just the air and oxygen. They actually believe there's life force. They call it prana. And this is absolute pure energy. Okay, and this life force, when we're breathing in, we're just taking it in naturally, so we're getting some of the benefits. But when we start to breathe consciously and we use the full capacity of the lungs, we're actually taking in this life force. And ancient traditions, modern traditions understand that the breath is life, and we know that they have practiced breath work in ancient times to revitalize their body and also to give themselves psychedelic experiences, which the breath can certainly give some of the most intense psychedelic experiences. So this is an amazing side effect to working with our breath. So breathing in life force and prana and conscious breathing, there's electrons in the air, there's energy in the air, there's a source of creation within the air. And when we become aware of that and we start to consciously pull that into our body, we are creating a storehouse of energy within our body. Now, we can use this energy for cellular production, all sorts of thoughts use this energy, actions use this energy, things that are happening in the body use this energy. We use this energy all the time. So it's getting used up quite a bit. So it's important for us as yogis to be aware of this life force and to consciously breathe in the life force and to retain this life force within our body. And you can tell people that have a lot of life in them, they glow, they have clear complexions, they have energy, they have enthusiasm, they have vitality for life. And the breath is key to this. And I really feel that if we do proper breathing and we're aware of our breath and we start to train ourselves to take these full complete breaths and we do breath work practices, we are bringing life and energy into our body. I have felt it over the years. At first I'm kind of going, what? I don't understand life force, and there's just air here, it's empty space, right? Well, we now know it's not just empty space. This is filled with energy. There's fields around us that have energy, and when we can breathe that in, it actually fills us up. You'll feel it when you go out into nature. And friends, I don't know if we would need any of these instruments or any of these practices that we do to calm our nervous system and to bring more energy into life if we just spent more time in nature. I absolutely love nature and have found that to be the best place to reconnect to myself, to get inspiration, and to really come back home. And this is a beautiful thing. And I know not everybody has the connection to nature, but if you're looking for answers, or you're seeking something to calm your body, to get you back to your natural state of presence, awareness, and vitality and joy, spend some time in nature. This is probably the best thing we can do. And when we breathe in nature, when we're in a forest and we're breathing in the freshest oxygen that we can have. We're breathing in the best life force that the earth has to offer. So give yourself the opportunity to connect to nature, to build a relationship, to breathe with nature. And we are so connected that nature knows what we need. And if we spend enough time in nature, nature responds. All right. Nature gives us oxygen, and what we expel is what it needs to create more oxygen. This connection is so beautiful. So really do yourself a favor, get into nature and just take some breaths in nature and let that work on you. All right, guys, we'll get into more of the science of breath and some more, of the yogi teachings and philosophies of breath. But this is a real important thing to understand. And the number one thing in this video, in this lesson to take away, is to breathe in and out through the nose. Do a complete breath. Breathe into the lower part of the lungs, fill it up, and exhale. Nice, smooth, balanced breath. The best thing we can do for our overall health and well-being, to purify the body, to purify the blood, we need to breathe into the body and take those full breaths. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.